your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy, that dude, an impromptu stream back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. It's gonna be a doozy. But look, y'all know I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit ya.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民と言っても自分は世代です。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶったまんまこっち見ない。
Your competitors, niggas better catch up like 10 steps ahead. Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep, I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow-mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking, I don't give a fuck about no ho, no ho. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy, that dude in the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji, eating tandoori and chicken curry, that ism is really indie. My pimp game international, I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of better.
And we are activated. We gonna get right into this thing. If you look at the title, it says W people are still whining about DEI, and we gonna highlight why the term people of color needs to be dropped. Stop saying that goofy term. Don't ever refer to me as a person of color. Many people don't even use that term until they see that there's some sort of advantages or benefits from using that term. But we're going to get right into it. This is a reaction to a video from a channel called Couch Politics. And this person is a staunch Democrat. So that's going to be the crux of their arguments that they're making. And then they have a panel of political stooges. They got, just a island of political misfits. But we're going to get into this video and we're going to break it down. But if you slide through the chat and you view this concurrently, drop some in the chat. Let us know that you here, housekeeping, you wipe your feet before you step in the house. So hit that like button. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. So we're going to get right into this video.
Okay, let's say historically white men. Who gets it today? Who gets it today? If you look at who gets it today.
That discrimination on the basis of race or sex is bad. Can we all say yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Carrie, can you say yes to that?
And it looks like we've already been joined by some illustrious guests. We got Sha-Ra King Black in the building. And you are right. Politrix, and none other than Big O. What it did it do? Big O in the building.
But
you don't. Well, the reason I asked that question,
I mean, because there's an entire community that feels discriminated against by the president.
White men.
The Somali community feels discriminated against by the
white
president. He
American
called them garbage.
white. Joe Biden called us garbage. White American men are being discriminated on the basis of.
When she said Joe Biden called us garbage, who is the us that you're referring to? Because right now you're caping for white men, but you said Joe Biden called us garbage. Joe Biden didn't call white people garbage, and I don't think he called white men garbage. But Even if he did, then hey, take that up with the W's.
Their race and gender. And I would have to stop pretending like that is the, oh, well, if, blacks have a slightly higher unemployment rate or, slightly lower, that's okay.
Well, it's double. It's not slight.
My point is, it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what it is.
Let's proceed.
And I won't answer your question.
She never said that.
She
never said
she wouldn't answer the question.
She never said
The
that.
reality is this conversation is disingenuous. It's not real and it's not honest. And you guys aren't being honest about the structure of how this country works.
By claiming the DEI isn't just, quote, lame diversity seminars or racial slogans. It was a deliberate program of discrimination, primarily, he said, against white men.
Should be reality.
But it's not.
But it isn't
But it
reality.
should be. Because of DEI, it's
But
not.
But it's
because
not.
of DEI.
Because of DEI.
Hello, everybody. Guys, we got Humpty Dumpty falling off the wall and onto Sid the Sloth. Let's get into this segment and we'll talk about it.
Trump administration is escalating its war on DEI.
Are you a white male who's experienced discrimination at work based on your race or sex? You may have a claim to recover money under federal civil rights laws. The EOC is committed to identifying, attacking, and eliminating all forms of race and sex discrimination, including against white male applicants and employees.
That was the chair of the U.S. Equal.
Okay, so now let's break this down. So if you have been discriminated on the basis of race and you believe that you have a case, then yes, you should file a suit. What they're doing here is pandering to specifically white men. So when they said including white men, that means that the language is broad to say that not only white men could file a suit, but their focus is on white men because this is that victimhood, right? This is not pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. See, when Black people say, hey, we've been discriminated against, we can look at the numbers and see how much we've been discriminated against. We're told, shut up, nigger, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Now they're trying to pull up this cockamamie propaganda and say that white men are being discriminated against. Okay, and if they were being discriminated against, didn't you say that the Blacks, the Negroes, have no institutional power? So let's just say that they were being discriminated against. Being discriminated against by who? Other white people in positions of power. And you'll see throughout this video, throughout social media, the reoccurring theme is to blame Black people for everything. It's the Blacks, it's the low IQs. Okay, so what responsibility and what fault is it of the alleged high IQs?
Employment Opportunity Commission. And J.D. Vance is co-signing that call by reposting her message, but took many steps further by claiming the DEI isn't just, quote, lame diversity seminars or racial slogans. It was a deliberate program of discrimination, primarily, he said, against white men. Carrie, I'm going to start with you. When you see this and you look at the statistics and you look at the numbers, how do you square these things?
And it looks like we've been joined by yet another illustrious guest, the lovely, the sophisticated, the captivating Jackie Gaines in the building.
You know, I think this has been a movement for some time. I think back to probably probably forever, but I'm going to say probably 2013, 2014. I was working with someone who said to me, it was a male colleague of mine, white male colleague of mine, and he was feeling very uncomfortable with the state of the world. He was suggesting that he wasn't able to get anything done because he was a white male and the world was essentially against him, and everything made it seem like, guess what? We have to hire minorities, we have to hire women, we have to hire marginalized people. And in his mind, everything was so politically correct. It was the HR of it all, the human resources of it all. And he was really upset about this. And I understood where he was coming from, but I couldn't relate because I lived in a world, and I'm speaking from my own experiences, where it felt like, well, about time. So what this is, in my opinion, is purely subjective. But in a world that we...
And just to be clear, Carrie Champion is the sister girl who's on here to toe the line. She is an attractive looking woman, so that's supposed to enhance her point somehow. You're supposed to look over the Democratic drivel and the political shillery and just say, oh, that's a fine looking sister right there. And I would concur with that. However, much of her arguments are just towing the line for the establishment, and it doesn't really go far enough. And that's why she's here. She'll, give a little bit of the sassy black girl magic energy, but it will only go so far. She won't really step to the power structure. She won't really challenge the establishment. And if it does, it's all the basis of this vapid, empty identity politics. And I'm not against identity politics because all politics is identity politics, but I am against ineffective, feckless identity politics. And that's what Carrie Champion and any black or melanated person that comes on these panels, that's what they're really about. To seem like they're fighting for the little guy or fighting for the community, but they are part of the establishment. They're part of the established order. Yeah, they may not be at the tippy top, but they're still hanging in these upper echelons of society, which means they support the status quo. They want the status quo, but, just a little bit more polite rhetoric.
Live in where we are saying this country, and you talked about our founding fathers earlier, in air quotes, this country has always made it easier, in my opinion, from my experiences, to celebrate white men. And they've always been the bosses, and they've always from the top. You look at the people who have the money, the billionaires, you look at a list, they don't look like me or you, they look like white men. And so for this to be an issue, a movement, it is as if these white men are being marginalized, feels very disingenuous. And the fact that JD Vance is amplifying it is also disingenuous, in my opinion.
But two things can be true.
You know what? They can be true.
And to her point, 65% of billionaires are white. 65% of billionaires are white. And here you got white people, white males, white females whining, complaining about how oppressed they are. So we can't complain about slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, debt peonage, sharecropping, eminent domain, on and on and on. Right? That's whining. That's woke. You niggers need to shut up. But meanwhile, white people who represent 65% of the billionaires, and this is just the billionaires, we're not talking about the millionaires or the 100,000aires. Somehow they're victims. They're whining about DEI when they were the ones who implemented DEI. They are in the majority of the positions of DEI, and they're still whining about it. But they talk to black people about accountability and victimhood. What do you call this? White victimhood at its worst.
They can.
Correct.
Three things can be true.
We can look back at the history of different institutions, private sector, public sector, and point and say this was overwhelmingly dominated by white men. Right? The statistics don't lie. But the statistics that came out recently about some hiring practices at some...
And the illustrious guests keep on rolling in. We got the intelligent, we got the charming, the enchanting Sunlight in building. Florida, stand up.
Major institutions, specifically media. That article in Compact Magazine that came out this week really does highlight some shocking numbers. If a news agency is touting their diversity and touting the fact that they're hiring, say, people of color, and 80% of the people are people of color, that is discriminatory in the same way that it was discriminatory
to hire only white men.
So there's that term. And this segment is going to highlight why that term needs to be eradicated. It needs to be eliminated and terminated. Do not ever call me a person of color. Listen to how stupid this sounds. Calling someone a colored person. That's racist and bigoted. You can't say that. Calling someone a person of color. Oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine. We all understand that. So here this dude is talking about, he's whining and saying, hey, most of those jobs, white men got discriminated against, and they went to people of color. So this whole segment, they're talking about white and black people. But when he talks about the benefits going, he didn't say that they went to black people. He said that they went to people of color. That can be anybody. AOC, She's not brown. She's considered to be a person of color. You see a bunch of Asians out there. Asians, no, Asians are not white. They're people of color. But a bunch of the Asians have the same skin tone as this white dude. But you're supposed to consider them a person of color. So when they say that, hey, we're giving these benefits to people of color, that doesn't mean black. Palestinians come over here. Palestinians, Egyptians, Lebanese people, all the people from the air quote Middle East, up into 2030, they have been classified as white. So Middle Easterners are classified as white and Caucasian, but they're also people of color. Does that make any sense to you? So when this dude is talking about, hey, all of these benefits went to people of color, that doesn't mean black. And most of their examples are black this and black people this and black people that. And then they pivot and say people of color. So yeah, those jobs went to people of color, not black people. And many of the diversity, equity, inclusion hires, they went to black immigrants, not foundational black American freedmen. So when it comes to DEI, we're at the bottom of the totem pole. And Carrie Champion should be highlighting this as a sister girl, right? She should be using her black girl magic to highlight this. But instead, she's going to give some very empty, tepid pushback that just doesn't, move the needle.
And I think those things could be true. And to acknowledge that and say this was overwhelmingly dominated by white men. Right, the statistics don't lie. But the statistics that came out recently about some hiring practices at some major institutions, specifically media, that article in Compact magazine that came out this week really does highlight some shocking numbers. If a news agency is touting their diversity and touting the fact that they're hiring, say, people of color, and 80% of the people are people of color, that is discriminatory in the same way that it was discriminatory
to hire only white men.
And I think those things could be true. And to acknowledge that.
But see, this is the issue. When those practices were discriminatory, hiring only white men, he didn't have anything to say. There was no outrage. There was no, hey, this is outlandish and outrageous that we're disproportionately, in some cases, only hiring white men. He didn't have any smoke. They would say, this is my country and we built this and the founding fathers. They would start making arguments to justify why there were only white men hiring. Now they feel, right, the numbers don't bear this out, but they feel like they're being discriminated against. And now he's whining, talking about people of color. It's his community who came up with that term, people of color. It's his community in the positions to hire people. So if they chose to hire people of color, right, what is he complaining about? It's within their liberty to do so. They can hire whoever they want to hire.
This is actually happening, I think is an important step because it does show perhaps that we've moved somewhat beyond some sort of post-racial view of how things should be.
No, let me just throw in a couple statistics because
But see, here goes the goofy talk. And Carrie Champion, she's not going to really hold him on that. We're not in a post-racial society. Listen to how contradictory and idiotic this dude sound. And these are supposed to be the high IQs. He's talking about moving and that we were in a post-racial society, but now he keeps saying whites this and whites that. Okay, so if we're past post-racial, why are you whining about what white people aren't getting? Or if white people are getting the short end of the stick, which is not true. But why is he propagandizing and specifically focused on white men? I thought we were all Americans. We were all God's children. And I don't see color. What happened to that? Suddenly they do see color after all, but they don't want you to see color. They don't want you to see color. And then you look at the company like, damn, 99% of the hiring, the staff that gets hired is white. No, you can't see that. Why are you being woke? You're not supposed to see color. But on the flip side, if you hire 99% black people, suddenly they're being discriminated against.
Because I went to look.
Like, white people out there, hear me and hear me well. And this is for everyone. Unemployment rate is double for black people than it is for white people. Double. We have to stop looking to the left and to the right as to who to blame. Look.
Okay, and even this dude that's commenting, right? This dude is Hispanic. So, mind you, they were railing against people of color. Why do they keep bringing up black people? People of color is not synonymous with black people, but they make it synonymous with black people. But then when it's time to dole out benefits, black people are at the bottom. It's a goofy term to make it seem like we have some sort of racial and ethnic solidarity when we don't. Should we have it? Yes. Do we have it? No. So we have to operate and deal with things as they are, not how we wish them to be. So mind you, here's this Hispanic dude talking about the black unemployment rate. Why is he not bringing up the Hispanic unemployment rate? But this is what they do. When there's an issue, they bring up black stat after black stat after black stat. Look, blacks were marginalized. Look, blacks were treated unfairly. And you know how we're going to help the blacks being treated unfairly? We're going to give the benefits to immigrants. That will surely help black people, right? And these people, they're part of that type of mentality. You heard them railing against DEI, talking about people of color, and now they're talking about black unemployment stats. Why they're not talking about the unemployment stats of people of color? So if you're only going to be talking about black and white anyways, why are you interjecting a term like people of color? It's supposed to muddy the waters, confuse people, and be interchangeable. Here, let's talk about the blacks. The blacks do this. The blacks don't do this. The blacks don't do that. The black schools are failing. So let's help the Hispanic schools. Hey, look, man, those blacks are low IQ in America. So how we help the blacks in America is by sending money to Nigeria.
Up. It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's not Superman. It's the rich people again. While you're complaining about DI and everything is woke and an attack on white people, these rich people are laughing at you. They're laughing at all of us. The only way for our lives to get better is to look at those who are in fact making it more difficult for you. The ones with all the health. How can you possibly, guys, just look at this very simply. How can you possibly think that it's the poorest amongst you that are taking resources away from you? You got to be smarter than that. They're using bigotry to divide all of us from our wallets. And you have to see that. Sid the Sloth over there and Humpty Dumpty, these people, they're mercenaries for the wealthy. These are the people you need to be worrying about. The people stepping on you are your...
Bro, you need to go be preaching this to your community. Your community overwhelmingly voted for Trump. Nobody should be wagging their fingers at black people about unity, division, and stuff. We tried to unite with everybody, and everybody turned around, pulled their pants down, and said, hey, kiss right here on this derriere. That's what other groups have done. So 'tis the season to hold your own nuts.
Fellow wealthy white people and those who help them, the Republican pundits, that tell you, pull yourself up by the bootstrap. What did Ben Shapiro, little squeaker, say the other day? Or not the other day, maybe a month or so ago. If you can't afford where you live, move. They just move.
Yes, the Republicans are on the pull yourself up by your bootstrap. The Democrats are on the same thing. They just don't say it. They let the Republicans say it. It's like a good cop, bad cop thing. And all of this being said, his community overwhelmingly voted for Republicans because many of them subscribed to that ideology.
Then, like, listen, guys, they've already taken everything from black and brown people. Literally no more wealth to take from us.
You see, there it goes again. So the other dude is talking about people of color, and now this dude is talking about black and brown communities. But when he brings up stats, why he doesn't bring up any brown stats? All of his issues are black issues. All of his stats are black stats. But when it comes time to dole out resources or to play grievance politics, yeah, it was black and brown. No, many of y'all don't even identify as brown. Many people with brown skin identify as Caucasian, i.e. Nikki Haley, whose name is Nimrata Haley, who grew up as a Indian, who said that she can't even have black kids come over the house. When she was running for office in South Carolina, She checked that she was white. When she started running for president, she kept talking about, I'm a brown girl. I'm a brown girl. So this is what people are just tired of. One day people want to be white. The other day they want to say that they're brown. The other day they want to say that they're a person of color. And hey, I'm a person of color and my struggle is just like those black people. No, it's not.
I mean, I'm going to show images here, and I know we're all the way at the bottom.
All right, here's my question. When you think about trading the stock market, do you think about trading from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.?
The rich has only one more source of energy, one more source of food.
I wish I had the meme right now. Who is we? He's saying we're at the bottom. Yeah, black people are at the bottom. He won't talk about how his group, Hispanic, which is not a race, it was used as a buffer group. He won't talk about that. He won't talk about how many Hispanics are racially white. He won't talk about that. He'll just say, we're at the bottom. Who is we? And then, even though we're both supposed to be at the bottom, guess who they side with? They side with the W's. And then they justify it and say, well, they're in positions of power. So shouldn't that mean that we should be siding with the ICE agents because they're in positions of power, right? We should be siding with Trump because he's in positions of power, right? People only say that when it's advantageous to them. Many of these Hispanics identify racially as white. The ones that don't say that they're mestizo, they're mixed race. You know what I mean? Even the ones that are air quote black, well, I know black Poppy. Okay, cool. You're not black. So go have your conversation with the Hispanics. Stop trying to invoke black people and make it seem like we have some sort of solidarity. We don't. Should we? Could we? Yes. Do we currently have that? No. So let's just stop playing these games.
And it's their own fellow white people, the middle and lower income white people, and they're coming for you.
This up because I was actually curious to see what happened because there was a very large jump in black women's unemployment at 7%. White men's unemployment is about 3%. Black men's unemployment is at 7.5%. So when you look at all of this and you start talking about discrimination.
So once again, did they bring up stats for people of color? Did they bring up stats for brown people? Or did they bring up stats for white and black? Like it always is. So the black unemployment rate is double the white man's unemployment rate, but black people can't complain about discrimination. You need to shut up. You need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But when white men whose unemployment rate is around 3-point-something% versus black people's is over 7%, right? They can complain and say they're discriminated against, but black people just have to suck it up. Nah, if we're all American, right? You got to suck it up too. We're dealing with harsher conditions than you. So why are you whining? Cue the tiny violin.
Yes, there are some examples, I think that one of which you just pointed out, but you can't cherry pick when you look overarching at what's happening actually in the world of work. Paul, how do you see this? What do you think this is about? Is this about messaging or what is happening?
I think it's sometimes we fall into all or nothing. Did DEI go too far at times? Probably. Sometimes I think what happens, especially with...
See, look at these little... DEI went too far, probably. How did it go too far? Nobody is going to get him to elaborate. And let's just say that it did go too far. Who is in charge of the institutions that allowed it to go too far? It ain't black people.
Correctness is the pendulum goes all the way over here.
Sure, overcorrect.
You just got to get back in the middle.
Sure.
Just get it in the middle.
Even this, Carious, yeah, sure, overcorrect. Like, how could you overcorrect when nothing has been corrected? I mean, these people are Ivy League graduates, and this is the type of empty conversation that they're having. They're saying the DEI was an overcorrection, but what did it correct? It didn't correct anything. In many cases, it made things a lot worse. So where is the correction?
Did some white men get screwed over because of DEI? Probably. Did everybody, to the point where you do?
So here we go again with the white victim babble. Okay. Did some white men get screwed over? What white men got screwed over? In the way DEI is set up, a white dude could break his leg, become disabled, and now they're eligible for DEI benefits because they're part of a marginalized minority community. If a white dude says, hey, I'm trans and I was discriminated against for being trans, they're entitled to the same DEI benefits as a Black descendant of chattel slavery. So what the hell are these people talking about? This is that W victim babble.
Did DEI go too far at times? Probably. Sometimes I think what happens, especially with political correctness, is the pendulum goes all the way over here.
Sure, overcorrect.
You just got to get back in the middle.
Sure.
Just get it in the middle. Did some white men get screwed over because of DEI? Probably. Did everybody, to the point where you do? That was like a shyster personal injury law firm commercial, wasn't it? Your steering wheel may be a ticking time bomb.
And if you feel like you've been treated poorly.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So this isn't correcting a systemic inequity. It's treating discrimination as symmetrical, and it's not, because what you're doing is you're ignoring the imbalance of power that led to the civil rights legislation. And so do I think that some white men have unfairly been treated as a result of DEI? Yeah, life's kind of sloppy that way.
So would this dude go around and say how unfairly treated Black people have been treated? And then if they are being unfairly treated, it's by people in their own community. So why are you even mentioning Black people? Go whine to your own community who's discriminating against you. White men discriminating against white people. Who do they bring up? Black people. White dude kills Charlie Kirk. Who do they bring up? Black people.
But it's not perfect, but I don't think you go so far as to tell everybody to start suing the government and start suing your work.
Wait, but why
somewhere in the middle.
Wait, hold on. Why shouldn't a white person who has been discriminated, which you just admitted is real and has happened, why wouldn't a white person who has been discriminated and can prove a case, or at least can bring a case, why wouldn't they be able to sue for that?
Because I think the federal government.
So white people are not the only people discriminated against. And this is the people, when they say the left plays identity politics, this is identity politics. White this, white man, white man, white man, white man, right? That's identity politics. So he's making a case that white people should be able to sue because they've been fairly discriminated against. But all of these people will be up against us suing for reparations, for unpaid labor, for the government sanctioning much of the anti-Black atrocities, including Jim Crow, including dropping bombs on us, including dumping drugs and Iran-Contras in our community, right? If you talk about suing for that, they say, you know, stop acting like a victim. But here he is egging on white dudes to sue for racial discrimination. And mind you, this is anyone who's been discriminated should be eligible to sue. So why is he fixated on only white men, right? He's trying to make them seem as like they're the victim. And this is where it gets goofy, because they'll say, Blacks, you are low IQ, savage, thuggish monkeys. You're at the bottom of society. You're essentially society's doormat. And even though we're above you, even though we're at the top, we're in the dominant racial group in America in terms of social caste. We're victims and we can complain, but you can't complain. They always tell Black people, man, don't beg the government. And what is they're advocating for? Begging the government to sue and say, please give money. They're not talking about scholarships. They're not talking about a statue. They're not talking about a symbolic gesture. They're talking about cold, hard cash. The people that like to say, oh, the US dollar is dropping and bricks and all this other type of stuff. Well, before it drops, there seems to be a lot of aggrieved groups asking for American cash. The only ones that they don't want to ask for cash is foundational Black American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery. You niggers better not ask for cash. But some white dude who grew up with a silver spoon, who feels like he was discriminated against, yeah, go sue and get a check that will be exorbitant, most likely in the millions.
Government in that kind of announcement is emboldening people that maybe don't have a claim but feel the government's telling me to do it. I'm going to go do it. That's why.
So
maybe the bigger question is, why is the vice president putting this out there, telling people to sue? That's the question.
Oh, come on. It's the same reason why he wouldn't condemn Nick Fuentes and the people, the Young Republicans organization, calling people watermelon people and saying they want to put their opponents in gas chambers. That's why. We all know why Vance is doing that. JD Vance is doing that.
Discrimination is bad no matter who it is against. And do we all agree that discrimination on the basis of race or sex is bad? Can we all say yes?
Yeah,
Carrie, can you say yes to that?
I took two things that I love, dancing and dogs, and I made them into a successful business.
So this is where this chick is gaslighting, talking about, yeah, all discrimination on the basis of race, etc., is bad. However, they won't reach into the past and talk about the systemic decades, really centuries of discrimination based on race. That's what redlining is. You know, they have occupational segregation. So we've always been discriminated on the basis of race, but people like her, they would call that woke. Stop complaining. You know, you have it better than the people. Go back to Africa if you want to live in a mud hut, right? These are the things that they would say when we point out legitimate cases, legitimate issues of discrimination. But when it's towards Black people, shut up, get over it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. When it's white people, it's like, bring out the flowers, bring out the violin. Everyone has to start crying. Everyone has to get on their knees, beg and grovel and say, please, white massa, what could we do to make it up to you? No, these people are just regular Americans, regular human beings. Let them figure it out. Let them pull themselves up by their bootstrap. Stop begging the government.
You don't. Well, the reason I asked that question.
But I mean, because there's a big question here.
And one more point, all of these small government people, right? We just want a small government until it's time to play the white grievance politics. Then suddenly they want the big daddy government to get involved and, you know, start pointing the fingers and say, hey, you need to do this and you need to do that, but specifically for white men. How is that not identity politics? They were saying that the woke left needs to stop identity politics. And here they are playing the most disgusting, grotesque version of identity politics. White victimhood at its worst.
That's why. We all know why Vance is doing that. JD Vance is doing that.
Discrimination is bad no matter who it is against. And do we all agree that discrimination on the basis of race or sex is bad?
Uh-oh, looks like we've been joined by another illustrious guest. We got the political dynamo, Ronnie Q. What it did do in building. But she says the EEOC came out with an announcement for white men to come make a claim if they feel they have been discriminated on the job, now that they have fired 300,000 Black women. And yeah, that's how the segment started. And this is what I'm trying to say. They're not pushing, JD Vance is not pushing for those Black women to go file a suit, even though I would advocate for those Black women, because the way that the language in the announcement is, other people are eligible to file a claim. Now, whites are going to get preferential treatment. Just because you file a claim as a Black person, they can dismiss it. They can toss it out, but make sure that you have a competent lawyer class so that you have a legitimate case. But see, they can't point to 300,000 white men being fired, right? But they want to complain that they're being victimized, that they're being aggrieved, but they have no smoke for the Black women that fired. They expect that to happen. They'll tell those Black women to go back to Africa, even though I'm sure none of them have never been. But they won't tell these white dudes, hey, man, if y'all want to get hired, go to Europe, right? That's your homeland. That's where your ancestors are from. Go to Europe if you don't like it here in America. They won't say that. That's only reserved for specific demographics, especially the Black American community. But yeah, this whole, and this is why I always tell people, all politics, all politics is identity politics. They tell you stop talking about blackness. That's wokety woke, woke, woke. And then you say, you know what? We need to stop making it about race. We need to stop talking about blacks. And then in the very next sentence, white this, white that. We need more white babies, white men, white men, white men. It's like, hold on. You said you don't see color, you don't see race, but they do. They always see race. So don't fall into this post-racial society. We live in a colorblind utopia. No, that's not the case. This country was framed and founded upon anti-black racism, upon genocidal maniacs, upon colonizers. That's what this country was founded on. We can't try to act like everybody was just founded on these Christian principles and this religious and racial utopia. That's delusions of grandeur. But let's commence.
Can we all say yes?
Yeah,
Carrie,
of
can you
course.
say yes to that?
But
all agree that discrimination on the basis of race or sex is bad. Can we all say yes?
yeah, of
Carrie,
course.
can you say yes to that?
But
You don't. Well, the reason I asked that question.
But I mean, because there's a big question here. There is an entire community that feels discriminated against by the
Yeah,
president.
white men.
The Somali community feels discriminated against by the
white
president. He
American,
called them garbage.
Joe Biden called us garbage. White American men are being discriminated on the basis of their race and gender. And
Once again, I don't like Jim Crow Joe Biden, but when did Jim Crow Joe call white men garbage? He talked about white supremacy, but that when he was pandering, he didn't do anything to combat white supremacy. So it was just kind of an empty, symbolic, rhetorical gesture. But no, Biden has been one of the most disgusting anti-black white supremacists on record. Like, he would be proud of it. So people try to forget his record with the crime bill. He had 2 crime bills, and he would be touting the crime bill as Biden's law. That's how happy he was to lock Negroes up. So here she is trying to play more white victim politics, talking about Biden was calling them garbage. Who did he call garbage? He definitely didn't call white people garbage. So who is the we? You see how she plays these games when she said he called us garbage? Are you talking about whites? Or are you talking about white men? Because you're not a white man, and he didn't call white people garbage. So this is just propaganda. Carrie Champion, who's supposed to be the sister girl, she ain't gonna check it. And the host is not gonna check it because they kind of let these talking points just get out there and they largely go unchecked. And then when they do try to push back, it's on one of the most frivolous points that they made. But let's commence.
would feel awful.
What numbers do you have that this is a systemic issue? This is a big
I don't care if it was a one-off issue. Nobody should be discriminated against because of their race or their sex. Second of all,
not only that, Strom Thurmond was his mentor, and also Robert Byrd, the KKK member. You know, he went to his funeral. He talked about how much he loved these people. That's why I say, hey, vote on policy, not political party. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I would vote for the Democrats. I would vote for the Republicans. I'll vote for libertarians. I'll vote for Green Party. Everyone, especially in the Black community, should be politically independent. If you want to vote Democrat, fine, but you should be registered as an independent. Many times, the Democrats, they never want to do anything for Black people. And the more they flood the country with immigrants and non-Black people, that's just developing even more of a constituency that they are going to say, hey, we're not going to do anything for you. And then when they do something, they'll say, hey, we did something for people of color. So, yeah, you know, people got to get a little bit more politically astute and be able to challenge the people. If you want to vote Democrat, fine. Make sure you hold their feet to the fire. Make sure that they live up to these democratic values and standards that they purport to stand for. Many of them don't. Democrats have already shown that they don't give a flying flip about the Black community. So that's what they've shifted it toward the immigrants. Just think about whatever city you're in. Look at what the Democrats have done for immigrants and look at what they've done for the Black community. Even in LA, they're saying that they're going to give money to people who have been affected by the ICE raids because they're scared. How many times have Black people been scared in sundown towns? Oh, shut up, nigger. Quit being scary. Okay, cool. Then if I say, all right, fine, I'll stop being scary of the sundown towns. But then if you flip and say, hey, the immigrants need to stop being scared of ICE, you shouldn't be here illegally, then that turns into xenophobia, right? So it's truly unfortunate, but Black people, you just gotta wake up. You have to wake up. The Democrats aren't your friend. The Republicans are not your friends, and they don't need to be your friend for you to get some tangible benefits out of them. LBJ was one of the most vile, disgusting, anti-Black bigots ever known to man. He will be openly calling us niggers. And he signed many bills that Black people benefited from. Now, we benefited the least, but we did benefit from it. If Trump right now went on the White House lawn and called us a bunch of low IQ niggers, and then he passed a bill for reparations that gave direct cash, hey, I'd be all for it. See, we've been caught up in trying to get people to like us. So all the Democrats have done is, hey, look, we'll give you a George Floyd statue that nobody asked for. Hey, you guys like, you like Cardi B, right? You like Megan Thee Stallion. We'll have a concert where Megan Thee Stallion is twerking. No voting, no vucking. You see what I'm saying? The Democrats are actually worse than the Republicans. Would you want somebody to call you a nigga to your face or go behind your back, call you a nigga and work to undermine you? At least somebody calling that to your face, you can see it coming. It's the analogy of Malcolm X talking about the wolf and the fox. The Republicans are the wolf. You see their fangs. You see them growling. Okay, this is a wolf I know to steer clear of. The Democrats are that cute, cuddly fox, and you're like, oh, this fox is harmless. And that fox gets close enough to you and mauls you from behind. I'd rather see the wolf coming. The wolf is not hiding who he or she is. The fox is all about being sly, cunning, and conniving and stabbing you in the back. And the fox is on the same team as the wolf. So ultimately, we just got to be more politically astute. Become politically independent and make each party vie for your vote, just like they do with the Jewish people, right? Jewish people, they're going to pander towards their vote because they're willing to hold the line. Some are willing to vote Republican. Some are willing to vote Democrat. Most of them vote Democrat, but enough of them vote Republican so that they have to pander to them. What does the majority of people don't vote. So the majority people in our community don't vote at all. But of the people that do vote, the majority vote Democrat. And there are reasons to vote Democrat. But think of it like this. If you got a significant other, right? You in a relationship with a significant other, they out there cheating on you. They out there bringing you back STDs. They do domestic abuse. And then and then you should leave them. And then they say, yeah, but the dating market, those people, they gonna treat you worse than me. So then you stay there to get abused because you believe that your partner is the lesser of two evils. People will be like, hell no, this person has brought you a STD. This person has beat you down. This person disrespects you verbally. You need to get out of that situation. But with us, we stay in that situation. Democrats is giving you STDs. Democrats is beating you down verbally, beating you down physically. But their whole thing is, yeah, we beating you down. But if you go over to the Republicans, they gonna beat you down some more. And then it's been that same cycle for 50 plus years? And other groups are surpassing us because Democrats are rolling out the red carpet for them. Democrats are saying, hey, here's what we're going to give you. And to Black people, they're saying, we ain't giving y'all nothing but something you didn't ask for. And then when we do give y'all something, it's going to be under the banner of people of color, marginalized groups, minority, disadvantaged groups. So that means everybody gets something. So everybody could eat off our plate, but you're not even invited to their institution. You're not, we invite everybody to the cookout. Have you been invited to a bar mitzvah? Are you invited to quinceañeras and fiestas? No. So I'm just saying it's that time for everyone to hold their own nuts. Let's get back into it.
Well, the compact article you mentioned, he does a very detailed job building upon years of other evidence. The other thing we have to discuss here, I am a female. I would feel awful if I got a role over a black male just because I'm a female, because I had a different, quota or target. It should always be based on.
Okay, I was trying to get into the video, but y'all been cooking in the chat. I agree. They have taken our vote as a joke, but much of that is our fault. It's twofold. It's our fault because we have taken our vote as a joke. We've just been blindly giving it to Democrats because the Republicans is racist. And I concur with that. But the Democrats are even more racist. So it's not about them being racist. It's about who is going to be the most resilient and resourceful when it comes to us, who is going to put tangible benefits on the table. If they are funding, schools, giving out grants and things like that, and then they're calling you the N-word, hey, I'm all for that. But now they're calling you the N-word and funding everybody else but you. Why do you think foreigners, they'll say that somebody is coming over here from a third world country, poor and seeking asylum? How does someone poor seeking asylum doing the job that Americans won't do, which is a lie, but how is that person going to come over and surpass you? Well, just look it up. In places like Chicago, migrants were getting $9,000 in rental assistance. Have any of you ever got $9,000, anything from the government, whether it be a grant, whether it be a tax return? So they're setting people up to be a buffer group, to be the model minority. And they say, see, look, you blacks have been here for decades. They came over here in 2 years and bought a house. There's all sorts of NGOs, and please don't take my word for it. Just look it up. All of these NGOs they have things that are specifically available for immigrants. So as an American citizen, you have no access to it, but they have access to the immigrant refugee program. They have access to the NGO pot, and they have access to the American pot. When you talk about affirmative action, that mainly helps white people and immigrants, but it was designed to help specifically foundational Black Americans. How many times have blacks been scared by LAPD, CHP, FBI, and the FBI, known to do COINTELPRO, which infiltrated Black communities, were wiretapping people? The LAPD were disproportionately, beat, shot, and killed. So we're always scared, but, we're just supposed to suck it up, Buttercup. And Jackie says the Republicans are not the Republicans they once were. No, neither party is what they once were, but they've always been on the same team. Good cop, bad cop, in the same precinct. And she said, I didn't get that inviting Cardi B and Megan on the stage. Well, that shows you what they feel about you. Cardi B, who's not Black, but they'll bring her up there to speak for the Black people. She said multiple times that she's not Black, even though she says nigga, nigga, nigga all day, right? She's not Black at all. She says she's Latina, even though that's not a race, but fine. You're not Black, you're Latina. Why y'all didn't get her to speak for the Hispanics? So Bernie Sanders, who is a stooge, Bernie Sanders will go and speak to Cardi B, asking her about political stuff. She sounds like a complete bird-brained bimbo. Bernie Sanders will go talk to her, but he won't go talk to a Black scholar. That's not to help the Black community. That's not because, hey, I'm trying to connect to the community, so I'm going to go get a rapper who talks about hoe shit all day. How does that help us? And she said, you see that Nicki Minaj went and sat down with Erica Kirk at the TPUSA summit that is going down this weekend? Yes, and Nicki Minaj is another one. See, now, I know some people, don't delineate is divisive. No, we have to delineate because every other person has delineated, and Nicki Minaj She always would say that she is Caribbean. She is a Trinidadian immigrant. Trinidadian people consider themselves Hispanic. So, like, which one is it? So when Nicki Minaj wants to get an award on behalf of blackness, she's black. But any other time you put a mic in front of her, she's talking about how proud she is to be Caribbean. So which one is it? So yeah, you speak for the Caribbean, you speak for Hispanics, you don't speak for our community, Nicki Minaj. And the new Republicans try to pretend they are the ones who fought to end slavery, but not the Dems. Like, we don't know the sides have changed over the year. Yeah, it gets a little bit cowardly when they try to act like it was the Democrats who did the slavery. See, when they talk about black people and they'll say, man, the Crips did this, the Bloods did that. They're not talking about the gang. They're talking about the black people in the gang. So when they say it was the Democrats who did slavery, don't let them get that off. Ask them for accuracy purposes, for specificity. Okay, let's just say it was the Dems. What race were those Dems? And then they start just babbling incoherently. Oh, the Republicans did this. Okay, what race were those Republicans? Y'all love to talk about race any other time. When they talk about what about Chicago, they're talking about what race of people, what racial demographic is doing some nefarious activity. Okay, fine. So when we talk about Democrats or Republicans, let's get a racial breakdown, not to be wokety woke. This is for accuracy purposes. We're in the age of information. So why can't we be as accurate as humanly possible? But let's get back into the video.
On meritocracy, on competency. I want whoever is most qualified for the job. And disparate incomes or outcomes, I
thought I was going to have to let it play. I'm going to rewind it back a little bit. But here she goes again, whining about meritocracy. America has never been founded on a meritocracy. America is all about nepotism. What is nepotism? Nepotism refers to the practice of favoring relatives, friends, and it often leads to unfair advantages in hiring or promotions based on personal relationships rather than qualifications. Meritocracy, on the other hand, emphasizes selection based on individual merit, such as skills, performance, promoting fairness and equal opportunities for all individuals. So while meritocracy values hard work and talent, nepotism prioritizes personal connections, which can result in inequality and reduced overall efficiency in organizations, right? So when you look at somebody like Jared Kushner, and Ronnie Q had corrected me on her stream because I said Jared Kushner was given $1 billion by the Saudis, and Ronnie Q was like, nah, they gave him $2 billion. Did they give him $2 billion based on merit? No, that's called nepotism. Is Trump hiring people based on merit? Is Pete Hegseth where he's at because of merit, or is that nepotism?
years of other evidence. The other thing we have to discuss here, I am a female. I would feel awful if I got a role over a black male just because I'm a female, because I had a different, quota or target. It should always be based on meritocracy, on competency. I want whoever is most qualified.
Here we go again. Did y'all catch that? I'm just, all the people that talk about black fatigue, this is black obsession. So this is the little sleight of hand people like to do with identity politics. So I'm going to rewind it back for y'all, but let me break this down. She said, I'm a female. She's clearly a white female, but why didn't she say that she was a white female? So she said, I'm a female. And then she says, basically, she shouldn't get the job over a black male. Why didn't she just say, I'm a female and I shouldn't get the job over a male? Why did that male have to be black? Why it couldn't be Hispanic? Why it couldn't be an Asian? Why didn't she say, I'm a white female and I shouldn't get the job over a black male just based on her gender? Instead, she just omits her race and ethnic identifier, but she adds it for black. You see what I'm saying? People always talk about black fatigue, but we're always the standard. For every discussion, they have to make it black and white, black and white. But when it's time to dole out the resources, this is for people of color. But all of the stats and the issues that you were talking about was black this, black people need to do that, black people need to do this, black people need to do this. And how we're going to help the black deficiencies is by helping people of color. But this whole segment wasn't about people of color. They didn't bring up any stats for people of color. Everything they bring up about is black people. But once again, when it's time to pivot, they pivot towards some other group to make it all inclusive, and the black issues get drowned. They use the black people's pain and plight as a mascot, as a crash test dummy, so that everybody else could benefit from it. So I'm gonna rewind that back, but y'all gotta see the sleight of hand here. She talks about being a female, and she doesn't mention her race, but she brings up the black male. Like this obsession is unhealthy.
Got a role over a black male. Second of all, the compact article you mentioned, he does a very detailed job building upon years of other evidence. The other thing we have to discuss here, I am a female. I would feel awful if I got a role over a black male just because I'm a female, because I had a different, quota or target. It should always be based on meritocracy, on competency. I want whoever is most qualified for the job. And disparate incomes or disparate outcomes is not indicative that it was the result of racism. So we have to stop pretending like that is the, blacks.
So here she goes again. She's about to mention blacks again. And she's saying that the unemployment rates of black people, you can't blame that on racism, right? But on the flip side, they're blaming this alleged white discrimination on racism. Tucker Carlson said that systemic racism is a hoax when it pertains to black people. Then just last year, not 20 years ago, last year, he says systemic racism is real, but only against white people. You see how these people like to operate? They tell you to stop talking about race. And what have they spent this whole segment doing? Talking about race. They say they don't see color. What have they spent this whole segment pointing out different groups with different ethnic backgrounds, with different shades, different skin colors? All the stuff that they say that you blacks need to stop doing, they do it. You guys need to stop begging the government. And then here they are begging the government to help them sue people for alleged discrimination. This is what you call pathetic.
I'm a female because I had a different, quota or target. It should always be based on meritocracy, on competency. I want whoever is most qualified for the job. And disparate incomes or disparate outcomes is not indicative that it was the result of racism. So we have to stop pretending like that is the, if blacks have a slightly higher unemployment rate or, slightly lower, that's okay.
Well, it's double. It's not slight.
My point is it doesn't matter what it is.
Let's push pause on this
And then did y'all hear what she just said? She said it doesn't matter what it is. So if it doesn't matter, why are you whining about it? This is the contradictory babble of the alleged high IQs. So she's essentially saying, hey, look, yeah, blacks have a double unemployment rate than white, but you can't just blame that on racism. Okay, so what could we blame it on? And they're never going to ask this question, because if you do ask it, then they're going to get into those tropes. Well, they have a low IQ. I mean, they have a low unemployment rate or a higher unemployment rate because there just aren't any fathers in the home. And then they'll start getting into the bell curve and the IQ and all of these types of things. So once again, if we're these low IQ, savage, thuggish monkeys, right, we're supposed to be here. But what is the excuse for the white dudes, right? She just said we can't blame it on racism for the blacks, but they can blame it on racism for the whites. Does that make any sense to you, right? These white people are supposed to be so hardworking and have such a high IQ, so they should overcome anything that's thrown at them. But instead, they have to whine about a group that they consider institutionally powerless. All of their problems somehow falls back on black people. And I caught that. Notice she said it doesn't matter what it is. She tried to say it was slightly lower until she said it was double. Then it didn't matter. And that's my whole point of this contradictory babble. They're talking about that they're being discriminated against. And then we show the numbers and say, well, according to these unemployment numbers, our numbers are double what yours are. So we are actually being discriminated against. But what she's trying to pivot and say is, yeah, your discrimination is not based on racism, but there is discrimination based on racism towards whites. This is that grievance identity politic. The stuff that they tell blacks to stop doing, they're pulling this up. They're ratcheting this up. But let's get back into it.
The conversation continues, but this is what I mean. People like Sidislav seek to divide you. When black and brown people try to do stuff about it, you guys call it woke and DEI, and it's anti-white. Like, guys.
And see, even here, this is the issue that I have with him. He's talking about black and brown. In this conversation, did they say black and brown? No, they said black, 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 black. And the only other term they used was person of color. They didn't say anything about brown people. And this is what I'm trying to say. People like this dude who is a Democrat shill and other people, they always try to link our struggles, black and brown this, black and brown this. But then when they go sit at the table and it's time to divvy out resources, they ain't talking about black and brown. They're talking about Hispanics. Here, we need to do this for Hispanics, but I thought this was black and brown. And then even with Hispanics delineate. You think that Mexicans, want the same outcomes as Puerto Ricans, or Venezuelans want the same thing as Cubans in Miami? No, these people are different ethnic groups. They have different political ideologies and interests. But when you just say black and brown, it lumps us all together, makes it seem like we're just one unified minority. And that's not the case. Hispanics aren't unified with each other. Will they unify to get some benefits? Will they unify to crap on black people? Yes, but overall, they're not unified like that because each group is focused on ethnic preservation, ethnic sovereignty.
Of course, you're going to have anecdotal experiences that DEI went too far. I'm sure about that. But that's why we have data. Unemployment rate is double.
I disagree with that. See, if you're going to say something went too far, you should be able to present where it went too far. Carrie Champion earlier said, yeah, there was an overcorrection in DEI. Where's the correction? DEI didn't correct anything. So if it didn't correct anything, how the hell could you have an overcorrection? And even this dude, he's talking about, yeah, some things with DEI went too far. What are the things? If some things, which is plural, some means plural, you should be able to name one thing where it went too far. But they can't even name one thing where it went too far. And let's just say that it did go too far and there was an overcorrection. Who was at the helm? Who was in charge? It wasn't no black people, yet we're getting the blame for it.
For what it is for black people. Black people and Hispanics have 6 to 10 times, depending on the timeline, less wealth. 6 to 10 times less wealth.
You see, here he goes, blacks and Hispanics. He keeps tying us in together. But on the segment, they're just talking about blacks this, black that. They're not talking about black and Hispanic. But this dude doesn't care about black people. Otherwise, he would be preaching this to his community. Black people have been more invited than anyone else. There'll be a black community and there's a bunch of Hispanics that get dropped in there. And we're like, man, we don't care, man. We're all people of color. We're all marginalized group. Then the Hispanics take over that, firebombing the blacks, spray painting NK, nigger killer on things. This happened in LA. The LA politicians was saying, hey, man, F this dude. He's with the blacks. They talked about diminishing our political power. Has he did a segment about that? What Hispanic people have called that out? What Hispanic people are calling out the anti-blackness in their community? There are a few, and one of them is Ricardo Ignacio. That dude be cooking, but it's far and few between because Hispanic, how many times do I got to say this? Hispanic is not a race. There's a book called Making of Hispanic, which was a good book, but you don't need to read that book to know. There's a bunch of black Brazilians, right? They're Hispanic, but when you think of the term Hispanic, do you think of them? Technically, Nicki Minaj is Hispanic. She's from Trinidad and Tobago. That's the Caribbean. That's as Hispanic as it gets when you ask some other people. But do we have the same interests? So just trying to lump us all in together too, it's like called a forced teaming together. Should we team together? Yes. Could we team together? Yes. Are we teamed up together right now? Hell to the no. And it's not because of black people. We've been wanting to team up with everybody, but other people are saying no. They've been telling us to hold our own nuts for years, and we still been practically begging people to ally with us. And now we're just saying, you know what? We have no allies. Like Dr. Henry Clark said, we have no friends, and we don't owe nobody nothing but a swift ass kicking.
And guys, like, I know why people are struggling. I'm going to get to that in a second. I know why people are struggling. Poppy feels you. Trust me. But Sid the Sloth there, they seek to divide you from the people you actually share the struggle with. And that is black and brown people. We've been here for a while, let me tell you. This is why Republicans feed you the kind of racist...
Black and brown. Go preach this to your community, bruh. Go preach this black and brown to your community.
Red meat daily. This is why. White people, I can understand. A lot of you are struggling, without a doubt. Those who aren't are just barely getting by, barely putting saving money into savings or retirement. I understand it. But come on, it's just simple math. It couldn't possibly be the people with 6 times less.
And I'm sorry, because the lovely Jackie, I don't want to give you a headache, but yeah, these people are insufferable to say the least. So my apologies, Jackie.
The wealth in you, a fraction on average or median, whatever you do. And I'm going to keep showing these images. It's the people with 1,000 times the wealth than you. Doesn't that make more sense? I promise you, if they somehow removed every black and brown person from this country, you will still struggle. Because we aren't the ones with any wealth.
Do y'all hear how many times he keeps saying black and brown? But on the panel, all they keep saying is black this, black that, black this. So when they are arguing and saying what we aren't doing, what we need to do is black and black only. But once it's time to cut a check, when it's time to divvy and dole out resources, that's when the black and brown and the people of color and the marginalized groups comes in. And when it comes to these hierarchies, right, and a level of stratification, we're always at the bottom. If you talk about minorities, we're at the bottom of that. Marginalized groups, bottom of that. People of color, bottom of that. So no, we need ethnic specificity. Just like the Jewish people. When Jewish people are talking about their grievance, they don't interject what Hindus are going through. They don't interject what Muslims are going through. They say this is Jewish business and Jewish only. They don't say, why don't they say black and Jews? Blacks and Jews are going through this. Blacks and Asians are going through that. But it's always this black and brown, this mythical coalition. Many of those brown people identify racially as white. Why the hell would I call them brown? Most black people, the majority of black people in America, they are brown. When people say black, people try to act super confused. Well, black is just a color. There's no country called black. There's no country called white. And it hasn't been stopping them from being a dominant force. With there's no country called white. When people say black, it's an ethnonym. Nobody is saying that their skin color is actually black. Because many people, they call Asians yellow. Have any of you ever seen a yellow Asian? So when we say that we're black, we're talking it as a racial group and ethnic identifier, not saying that our skin color is the same color as the actual color black. Because there are a bunch of white people who are, I mean, you see they call Trump, who is clearly white, whiter than white, but they call him the orange man. The orange man.
It sucks. Trust me, I know. I mean, just look at this image. I'm going to make sure to put this one for sure. This is where your house with a white picket fence is. This is where it is. The rich took it to buy their 8th home. Poppies and mommies out there, we got to be smarter than that. We need to come together against a common enemy. I know I'm mean to you guys. I know I'm mean to you Republicans. But your issue is not with us black and brown people. There's nothing left to take from us.
Man, I'm getting so damn tired of this dude talking about black and brown. Bro, go preach this to your community. And this is what I'm trying to say. Like, who are you even talking to when he's speaking like this? Because they should be able to show an organization. There should be black and brown construction companies, black and brown taco restaurants. But do you think they want to work with us and hire us? Right? They're coming over here to our country. Once you immigrate to another place, you're going to someone else's home. So you should be a great house guest and say, hey, look, man, is there anything that I can help you with? You know what I mean? Hey, look, because they don't have to do this. But when you're talking as black and brown talk, don't talk to me about it unless you're talking about something that's economically viable, right? If you ain't talking about some black and brown landscaping companies, some black and brown construction companies, if you look at in LA, all they play is black hip hop music. All of the directors are Hispanic. The only people they hire is Hispanic, right? Where is the black and brown in that? So I hate people trying to use this black and brown stuff to get us to crash out for immigration and other issues that benefit them. But then when it comes down to resources and building, there is no black and brown. In the 90s, Oakland, California was 47% black. Now it's 17% black, mainly overrun by a bunch of undocumented Hispanics, right? And then I know people like to say, no one's illegal on stolen land. But if you go to those same countries where they're from, where they fled from, go to their countries and see what they'll say. Actually, all you got to do is, don't take my word for it, type it up. How are black people treated in Mexico? How are black people treated in Venezuela? How are black people treated here? And then you think those same people are going to come over here and ally with you? We were welcoming everybody. We're saying, okay, cool. We subscribe to the BS. Oh, yeah, they're minorities just like us. And many of them would be nice when their numbers were minor. And then when they become the majority, they start being even more racist, more bigoted than the white people. If you look up one of the largest racial discriminatory cases is versus Hispanic on black people, white Hispanics at that. And see, people try to hide this history, but Mexicans specifically and other Hispanics, but we're just going to talk about Mexicans because they're the largest Hispanic ethnic group in the country. They fought to be legally classified as white. So where's all this people of color talk? If you look at LULAC, which is one of the largest Latino organizations in the entire world, they still have on their website today, this very moment, about how proud they were to fight to be classified as legally white. In 1848, when they had the Treaty of Hidalgo, where they fought the Mexican-American War. They lost. The U.S. was occupying the territory. Then they signed the treaty, got hundreds of millions of dollars, and they said, here, there's a bunch of Mexicans already over here. We're going to allow them to be U.S. citizens and we'll allow them to be Caucasian. And some people will say, yeah, y'all can be Caucasian, but you're not white. So it's just a matter of semantics. But there's countless Latino leaders saying, hey, Mexicans are white. They fought for the right to be that. I could pull it up in real time, or you can just look it up yourself. So then when we say, okay, cool, you guys are white, it's like, no, I'm Hispanic. That's not a race. Sammy Sosa is Hispanic. Is Sammy Sosa the same race as AOC? I'm just saying.
To start a podcast with Riverside, all you need is a concept and a way to record it.
But let's get to the second part of this.
Why this is even a discussion and why we feel like JD Vance feels like he has to overcorrect what was wrong was because there was a problem in this country.
It looks like we've been joined by an illustrious guest. She's new to the stream, so shout out to Tay Bay. Tay Bay for hopefully I'm saying your name right. So I'm gonna just call you Bay forever because I don't know if it's Tay Bay or Bay. I don't want to butcher the name, but shout out Bay forever in building.
For many years. That's why DEI
So
was here.
discriminating against other people is a remedy for discrimination?
Let's go back to the initial reason why we had it. It was because this was a problem in the country. As you so eloquently pointed out earlier, is that yes, there is a bit of overcorrection. People do overcorrect. But this was a problem in our country. It had to be addressed. That's why these policies.
See, and this is why I can't really rock with Carrie Champion, right? Because here she's supposed to be doing the whole black girl magic sister girl thing, but she just keeps babbling incoherently. She's talking about that there was an overcorrection with DEI, but nobody could say what that overcorrection is. DEI didn't correct anything. If anything, it wrecked a lot of stuff for black people. And I'm going to pull up the stats too, just to show y'all that I'm not just babbling like they are. I actually have numbers to back up what I'm saying. She's saying that there was an overcorrection with DEI, but DEI didn't correct anything. So if it didn't correct anything at all, how the hell is there an overcorrection? What the hell is she talking about? She's supposed to be over there to stand on business, but instead she's just giving these weak, wacky talking points and kind of conceding the argument to this white victimhood grievance.
Were put in place. This is not something that we're pulling out of the air and saying discriminate against white people, discriminate against white men.
So you don't want any discrimination against white men? There are people who are in roles who are in the roles because they happen to check a few extra quota boxes, even though they may not have been the most competent person. And when I'm sitting here saying that some people at this table can answer, do we all agree that no one, black, white, Chinese, whatever you are, should be discriminated against because of your gender or sex?
We agree with that.
But
what you're advocating is a zero-sum game.
But you can't correct the measure of discrimination by discriminating more.
Treating the court system
you asked me a question. I have a question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
If we all acknowledge that DEI policies exist, which give preferential treatment to people of color, women, what actually?
Here we go again. Did y'all hear that? This whole thing has been about black people and black this, black that. And here he says, if we give the jobs to people of color, so why didn't y'all keep saying people of color the whole time? Why are you even bringing up black people? People of color doesn't mean black. And this is what they like to play. They like to have black people as the face of DEI, so it gets people on board to tear it down. And Carrie Champion, Carrie Champion, this is a dereliction of your journalistic duties. Carrie Champion, who graduated from a prestigious school, she should be saying what I'm saying. You don't got to be inflammatory. She can say it in a very articulate, eloquent manner. The people who benefited most from DEI was white women. She's sitting next to a white woman who's railing, talking about white men are being discriminated against, and she's fixating on the white men. Carrie Champion could have easily had a mic drop moment and just said, well, most of the benefits go to white women, which means they're going to go to white people. Most white women marry white men, i.e., that's a benefit for the white family household. Carrie Champion could have just ended all of this stuff, but instead she said twice, oh yeah, there was an overcorrection, but none of them have listed what the overcorrection was. Nothing has been corrected by DEI. So this is why she's on there. She's on there to be a pretty black girl and to give these empty, vapid arguments. Carrie Champion, you should be ashamed of yourself.
How does it work? Tell me what do they do to get the number? If we all acknowledge that DEI policies exist, which give preferential treatment to people of color, women, what actually does? How does it work? Tell me what do they do to get the numbers up in institutions, if not discriminate?
So then here he goes. He says, what do they do? who is the they? So as much as he's railing, well, what do they do? Well, the they are people that look like you. They are in positions of power. That means white people. Most positions of power are white men. After that, white women. So when he says, well, what do they do? Ask your community. It's your community who came up with DEI. It's your community who implements DEI. It's your community who has the most CEOs and COOs. That's your community. Stop blaming black people. Stop bringing up black people. There's no black person in a position of power forcing them to implement DEI. And many of these companies are private institutions. So a lot of these conservative right-wing wackos likes to talk about they want a limited government. They want a small government, and the government shouldn't be able to tell me how I dictate my business. But then when it comes to DEI, they're like, you can't run your business like that. Like, huh? Which one is it? Are you about freedom of speech and liberty and all that stuff, but only when it benefits the W's?
Discriminating against people from one race or gender versus
well,
another.
it's all how you
What do
want
they
to
do?
couch it. If you can
They
use
just
the
hope-
word, you can use the word discriminate, or you could use the word that there's an inherent entrenched sort of system that is not working for the minorities.
someone
It's
get a
trying to be, hang
preferential
on a second, I'm answering your
Yeah.
question. It's trying to be correct.
Yeah, the inherent system is called white supremacy, but he's not going to say that because he benefits from the system. And this is how people are like extremely cowardly, including Carrie Champion, because they won't call it what it is. So they can say that whites are discriminated and whites are this, but you can't say white supremacy. But when you talk to a bunch of the whites, they say that, hey, we're superior than you in this. We have a higher IQ. Okay, so you think that you're intellectually superior. Well, that's not what I said. Actually, that is what you said. So it's imperative that you get them to say whatever they have to say with their full chest, even if it's super bigoted, because what they try to act like, hey, I'm not being racist. I'm not being bigoted. I'm not being discriminatory. I'm just calling balls and strikes. So, hey, they always say Asians are the model minority. Okay, fine. Shouldn't Asians be in all of these positions of power since you think that they're just the smartest model minorities and have the perfect culture? Hey, for the next 30 years, let's have an Asian president. And then they're going to start complaining, well, what about white men? But I thought it was about meritocracy. Y'all said that the Asians was model minorities. Y'all said that they had a better culture. Y'all said that they were super smart. I mean, wouldn't we want that running the country? But then it flips and then they start talking about white men. But I thought it was about meritocracy. So all of these arguments can be easily debunked in real time. And I don't have a degree. I didn't go to some Ivy League school. So all of these people did, but none of them will make the argument. Is it because that they don't know or they just don't want to? They're there to hold water for the status quo and to push this white identity politics, grievance propaganda while telling you that identity politics is woke while engaging in identity politics. Pathetic.
By discriminating.
Hang on a second. No, it's not. That's what this is the beauty of this conversation is, right? You can call it discrimination. Somebody else could call it something else.
The court's going to figure out.
So the point is that.
And this is what I have been saying for a while. In terms of crime, we're the lowest on the totem pole. There's no black gun manufacturers. When they say fentanyl is coming from China. But they don't blame Chinese people. They don't even blame Chinese culture. They don't even blame Asian culture. Instead, if a black dude in Chicago happens to sell some fentanyl, see, that's black culture because some random musty, crusty, dusty nigga in Chicago is selling a pack. That's black culture. But meanwhile, you have an entire country manufacturing and distributing one of the most deadliest drugs known to man. But that's not a part of their culture. There's no organized black crime. They'll say that you guys are too dysfunctional to organize crime. So wouldn't the people that do have organized crime, doesn't that speak more to their culture? Because they're organized. They're very meticulous about their crime. Meanwhile, y'all will say that our crime is disillusioned and dysfunctional. So how could that be a part of our culture? What do I have to do with some dude in St. Louis that does a crime? If you in New York, what do you have to do with someone in Oakland? So I say this, same energy, same logic. If I have to be held accountable for somebody in Baltimore that did a drive-by, then yeah, all Asians need to be responsible for the human trafficking and a lot of that nefarious activity that goes into these illicit massage parlors. They have Asian triads. All Asians have to be accountable for that. Then it turns into, you can't generalize, and that's xenophobic. But it's not xenophobic when you generalize all Black people. Got it. But and Jackie also says, that's one reason why I don't rely on the mainstream media. They only report half the truth. Yes, because they're reporting half the truth and the rest of it is a propagandistic spin on it. So you're supposed to take the information and make your own deduction of the facts, your own deduction of the information that's being disseminated. And people have to know the difference between something like an op-ed, which is an opinion editorial piece, versus something that's just calling balls and strikes. And they never really do that. They always got to try to interject whatever their ideology is. So when people are gathering this information, it is very critical to see it with the impartial lens. And it is it is discrimination against us and always has been discrimination against us. Yes, but we can't say anything, right? We're showing you the numbers, hundreds of thousands of Black women fired, let go, kicked to the curb. And instead of them talking about the Black women who were discriminated against, they're talking about white men, and white men should sue to get money for being discriminated against. And not only that, where's Carrie Champion? Carrie Champion, the sister girl, she's a high IQ. Why the hell didn't she bring that up? Why didn't she bring up or just ask them the question? Hey, so would you be in favor of those Black women suing to get money because they were discriminated against? But like the white girl already told you, she said, well, just because they were discriminated against, it doesn't mean that it was racism involved. So they're already trying to pivot from that. So they want the W's to file a discrimination suit, but they're not advocating for the Black people to do it. But y'all should do it anyways. Go ahead. And if you can prove that you've been discriminated against, definitely take up a lawsuit with them.
When you use this as like a blind scale instead of a corrective measure to correct the fact that there's been systemic racism or misogyny or whatever you want to call it. And if has it gone too far?
But
yeah,
what corrective measure is there?
Hang on a second. Has it gone too far?
See, here we go with the vague stuff and people are acting like this dude is really saying something. First, I didn't mean to pause it like that, but Carrie Champion, you looking crazy as cat poo. But yeah, Carrie Champion keeps saying there was an overcorrection. Yeah, there was an overcorrection, but she can't point to what the overcorrection was. Nothing's been corrected. So if you didn't correct it initially, how could you overcorrect? And then this dude keeps saying, yeah, maybe it's went too far. What has went too far? You see the vagary? They went too far. It went too far. What is the it that went too far? Who is the they that was in control of it going too far? But see, when you peel back the layers, you see it was just another white person. So you're essentially complaining to whites about what whites are doing to whites, but the scapegoat is Blacks? Okay. Let me rewind that a little bit back. This stuff is so easy to just break down. And mind you, I'm not an Ivy Leaguer.
Instead of a corrective measure to correct the fact that there's been systemic racism or misogyny or whatever you want to call it. And if has it gone too far?
But
yeah,
what corrective measure is there?
Hang on a second. Has it gone too far? DEI has gone too far at times. As a white male, I'll say that.
The question, what?
You see, they're not speaking about this in my mind correctly.
Hey, thanks so much, Ronnie Q. I sincerely appreciate you coming through. And yeah, this video is only probably like 5 more minutes left. After this, I'm going to shut her down. But I might do another stream later on because I got some other topics to touch. But when y'all get a chance, definitely subscribe to Ronnie Q. You know, she is on top of the nuance, the political ongoings in the country. So salute to Ronnie Q. Hopefully you have a happy holidays and look forward to streaming with you soon. And the lovely Jackie says, when blacks file lawsuits, they always say we're misusing the judicial system and it's a money grab. And this, unfortunately, makes people more discouraged about filing a suit. Even if they have a legitimate claim, they say, man, those people ain't going to listen to what I have to say. So unfortunately, they leave a lot of money on the table and settle for injustice rather than fighting for a justice claim that they legitimately should be eligible to.
Joel there and Sidislav there, these people are so simple-minded. They're making it seem like, well, if you're trying to help black people, you must be hurting white people to do so. This is the problem with that argument, is that black people have the unemployment rate that is double the percentage rate that it is for white people. So first off, that just doesn't make sense.
So here we go again. They're talking about black stats, and y'all heard them earlier, black and brown, black and brown, black and brown. Why isn't he bringing up the brown stats right now? Why isn't he bringing up the black and brown unemployment stats? He's only bringing up black stats. But once they come time to talking about solutions and resources, it goes back to black and brown, black and brown. Here, let's talk about the black stats. Let's talk about the black unemployment rate. Let's talk about the black health outcome rate. Let's talk about everything pertaining to black statistics. Don't talk about any brown statistics, but lump this in as some sort of black and brown issue. Come on, bruh. Do better than this.
Sense. And hey, Mini Mega, you ever think, and Humpty Dumpty over there, you ever think that possibly that white people, just possibly, white people were overly represented in the job market? Do you think that's the issue? Could that possibly be the issue? Hence, the unemployment rate is half of what it is for a black person. I mean, I think they know better. They just know what they have fed these conservatives' minds for decades, and they just keep doing it. This is why nothing gets ever solved. And like, again, it's not unemployment.
What is the unemployment rate for people of color? What is that unemployment rate? They keep bringing up people of color, but no stats. All the stats are for black people. Interesting.
Unemployment rate is fine for white people. That's not the issue. It's the income level. These people are deterring away from the conversation. It's about rich. It's about the wealthy. You're not getting enough. You're not getting enough money to get by. And again, this is why nothing gets solved, because then on the other side of their mouth, they talk about how crime in black and brown neighborhoods are so bad and they're dangerous and inherently bad people and all this crime level, crime. But then when anyone tries to...
Here he goes with the black and brown stuff again.
To do something about it, these idiots yell and cry DEI. It's woke. It's anti-white. And now they're literally trying to do the same thing for white people. But no woke, no DEI, nothing there. Like, come on. Again, look up.
So she says, I'm on vacation until next month. So if you don't see me, it's because I'm moving around. I've been really busy since I got to my destination. Okay, well, good, because I won't feel sad, because if I don't see Jackie, you know, I might have to go cry in the car, you know what I mean? But I do appreciate you for everything that you do. You know, you are a marvelous mod and an even more amazing person. So, you know, you deserve it. You need to kick your feet up and deserve that vacation. Just make sure it ain't a staycation. You know what I mean? You got to come back and see me when you're done relaxing.
It's the wealthy. And Sidislav there and Humpty Dumpty are doing the rich man's work.
If corrective measure, your words, exists that doesn't give preferential treatment over specific races and genders?
I think one way to ask this question, if you have two people who have the exact same credentials, which is a little odd, but exactly the same credentials, one is black, one is a black woman, one is a white man, historically, who gets that job?
I have no idea.
Oh, stop.
Historically, come on, historically.
Okay, let's say historically white men. Who gets it today? Who gets it today?
See, and this is the disingenuous nature of the high IQ. She asks him a clear question that he knows the answer to, and he wants to play, tap dance, and obfuscate and act like he doesn't know. So now he pivots. Instead of answering the question. Now he's going to ask her a question and try to act like black women are getting hired over black men. I mean, over white men. There's no industry where that's happening. And if it is like a one-off or something, it's not the norm. It's not systemic. He knows this. And if he doesn't know it, why the hell is he on this panel?
If you look at the
Who gets it
numbers,
today?
it's still...
Nope, still not according. I have no idea.
Oh, stop.
Historically, come on,
No idea.
historically.
Okay, let's say historically white men. Who gets it today? Who gets it today?
If you look at the
Who
numbers,
gets it today?
it's still...
Nope,
Still
not
white
according
people.
to The Atlantic, the San Diego Tribune, NPR, all the people that were cited by Compact Mag as doing this. You don't want to say it, but it's true. The DEI, you go to the corporate website. Wait, we can't pretend this doesn't happen. You go to a corporate website and they announce how many people they've hired, people of color and women, and then we're going to pretend like it doesn't exist.
Here we go again. She just asked him a hypothetical situation. Hey, if there was a white man and a black woman with the exact same qualifications, who would get hired? He pivots and now guess what he's talking about again? People of color. Bruh, y'all just spent the whole time talking about black people and now he pivots to a person of color. That person of color could be Asian. That person of color could be Hispanic. And many of them have the same skin tone as him. So look, man, y'all really need to retire that term. But let me finish up this video and I'm going to give y'all some information and then I'm going to get ready to shut her down. But this is not a strong showing for the high IQs.
In the opposite way you were framing it as happening in the
But
past.
this isn't a
It
fair
doesn't hired, people of color and women, and then we're going to pretend like it doesn't exist in the opposite way you were framing it as happening in the
But
past.
this isn't a
It
fair
doesn't-
conversation.
It doesn't happen.
I don't think this is a fair conversation, Sarah, and I'll say this. If we're going to sit at this table and have an honest conversation about what the history of this country is and how, in fact, they employ people and who runs the power structure, we will say that it's a white man. And for you to sit here and say, well, how do you do the corrective measures and everything he says, and you're challenging him and you're saying, we won't all agree, we can't all agree. The reason why I didn't answer your question was because it was a silly question.
Wait, you don't think white
because
people shouldn't be discriminated against?
I was saying the
silly?
reason why I didn't answer your question because it was a silly question because we know how this country has been run and we know who has the power structure,
That
we
didn't
know who
answer the
has the
question.
money, and I won't answer your
She
question.
never
you
said
wait,
that white.
and
She
so
never
the
said
person-
white.
You wouldn't
man
answer the
should-
question.
She never said
The
that.
reality is this conversation is disingenuous.
And this why she was brought on here, to give this little sister girl sass, but it is very empty. Any of the points that I made, Carrie would have shut it down. But instead, she's going on this kind of incoherent identity politic babble. And it's just very empty. She could have hit a home run, but I don't even know if she hit a single with this one.
It's not real and it's not honest. And you guys aren't being honest about the structure of how this country works and about what has happened with people who are minorities, with black people, with white people, with Asian people. You can say whatever you want to. You had word salad this entire conversation.
You see, this whole conversation, they've been mainly talking about blacks and whites, and then they've been trying to shift it when they say people of color. That's an umbrella term. And then here she goes talking about minorities, whether it's black, whether it's Asian. They didn't read off any Asian stats. So why are you mentioning Asians? They didn't read off any Hispanic stats. They did read off black stats. They did read off some white stats. So why are you trying to bring all of these other people into the mix? If they're going to be brought into this conversation, they need to stay in this conversation. Don't make it about black and white people and then try to turn it into something about immigrants and trans people and women and stuff. This is a failure.
Word salad.
All we're simply saying is DEI was
Discrimination is
put in
bad.
place because it was a reason to correct what was
no
wrong.
word
with the
salad.
Let's all
We got-
agree
we-
that
all right.
meritocracy is important. People who are most qualified should get the job.
That doesn't. always
And that
work
is
way.
not reality in
At
the
all.
That
world.
should be reality.
But it's not.
But it
It's
isn't
not.
But it
reality.
should be. Because of DEI, it's
But-
not.
But it's
because
not.
See, and look at the lies. She's saying it should be a reality. DEI is a relatively new thing. This country has never been a meritocracy. It's always been about nepotism, goodies, giveaways, guarantees, and handouts based on nepotism. It's never been based on meritocracy. So, yeah, you can say it should be that, right? Black people should get reparations, right? But doesn't mean that it's going to happen. You know, these minority people of color groups should be allied with Black people, right? But it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. People like to talk about should, could, would, but you got to talk about what things are and as presently constructed. But it's only a couple more minutes, and then we just
because of DEI, it can't be.
It's not. But let's move on. Next.
And let's just say it was because of DEI. Who is controlling DEI? So go blame those people in charge, and the people in charge look like her.
She lives in a world of unicorn and rainbows. It should be.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop that, and let me just pull this up. Uno momento, because we like to hit y'all with the real. So hold up. Bam. Let me enlarge this a little bit for y'all. Okay. Majorities of Americans say DEI practices help Black men and women in the workplace. Why are they obsessed with Black men and Black people in general? But let's see what this actually says. The data, Black people are being left behind. Where have we heard this before? So DEI doesn't benefit us at all. And if it is, it's so minuscule that it's not moving the needle. Representation in leadership, right? Let me make it slightly bigger. Black people allegedly make up 13% of the US population, but hold only 8% of managerial roles, 4% of the C-suite executive roles in a corporate America. In Fortune 500 companies, only 1% of CEOs are Black. Black workers earn 24% less than their white counterparts. Is that discrimination? But according to this Karen, she said, oh, no, that's not about racism. But if this said white workers earn 24% less than their Black counterparts, that would be considered racism. Black women face an even wider gap, earning 63 cents for every dollar earned by white non-Hispanic men. 60% of Black employees report experiencing racial bias at work, compared to 41% of white employees. So we have a higher rate of experiencing racial workplace discrimination. And what does JD Vance and the MAGA maniacs come out and say? Oh, yeah, we have to protect white men, even though they're being discriminated much less than us. And the people that are discriminating them are other white people. I'm showing you the stats that Black people are not in these upper echelon positions of power, but white people are. So they're the ones dictating the policy. And instead of stepping to white people, they want to blame Black people and make it appear as if they're getting some unfair advantage. Black employees are less likely to receive mentorship or sponsorship opportunities, which are critical for career advancement. Only 5% of Black employees feel they have equal access to leadership employee development programs. So that would mean, on the flip side, 95% of Black employees feel that they don't have access to it. Black women are often overlooked for leadership roles, with only 1.6% of the C-level executive roles. They face a wider pay gap, earning 17% less than white women and 63% less than white men. Why wasn't Carrie Champion highlighting these stats? Well, she didn't know this off the cuff. Yeah, they gave her the topic ahead of time. Why didn't she do her research? What is the point of going to these prestigious institutions, getting all of these degrees, when you're just going to get on TV in an intellectual conversation and be very intellectually deficient? So in 2020, Trump signed an executive order which targeted DEI training in federal agencies, contractor. The order prohibited training that addressed systemic racism, white privilege, and implicit bias, labeling them as divisive and un-American. So clearly there is white privilege, but they just don't want you to say that. People look up to Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson admitted there was white privilege, and he said, well, there should be white privilege if whites built the country, and, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, if whites built the country and they're in these positions of power and influence, then yeah, they should have some level of privilege, right? And hey, I'm not even going to hold them with that. But if I say that I agree with that, then that means that you're admitting that white privilege is real. So when people call out white privilege, why are you whining about it? Why are you calling it woke when you agree with it? Many people do believe that whites should have preferential treatment. Preferential treatment is a privilege. It's just they want white privilege. It's just they don't want to call it that. Well, come up with a euphemism for that. It still means the same thing. So you can just keep going down and down. But based on the studies that I've seen, Black people have got less than 5% of the DEI benefits, but they use us as the mascot and the face for DEI, even though that's not the truth. But let me pull up something else as well about why that term people of color just needs to just be retired forever. So let me just go ahead and pull this up right here for y'all. So don't ever call me that. And I would advise that you don't even ever call yourself that. It's a term. It's a erasure term. So here we go right here. And let me make this a little bit bold for y'all, so we can get into that. The term people of color is widely used to describe non-white individuals collectively. So if it's used to lump us all together to say that we're non-white, I'd rather you just say non-white people. Don't call me a person of color, because you're talking about non-white people. Just say non-white people, because if you're going to lump us up together and call us people of color, then we have to call the other people people of no color, people devoid of color, people who lack color. When you say that, people say, well, that doesn't make any sense. So how does people of color make sense, but people of no color doesn't make sense? No. So if you insist on calling us people of color, then I'm insisting on calling these people. Which one y'all like more? People with no color, people who lack color, people devoid of color, people with limited color? I mean, which one? Hold on, let me pull this up back a little bit. Okay, right here. Overgeneralization and flattening differences. And these are the issues with it. POC encompasses Black, Indigenous, Latino, Asian, and other non-white populations. Each group has distinct histories, experiences, and systemic challenges. For example, Black Americans face disproportionate police violence and effects of historical slavery. Native people confront issues like land dispossession and cultural erasure. So we face all of that as well. We've had more land dispossessed and more culture erasure. Asian Americans often encounter discrimination that intersects with class stereotypes or model minority narratives. Well, many Asians kind of lean into that model minority. Many of them do believe that they are the model minority and better than the black. So it is what it is with that. But using a single label incorrectly implies uniform experiences, which obscures group specific forms of racial oppression and erases intra-minority distinctions. So just lumping us all up together and calling us people of color is a form of erasure. Historical and linguistic origins reinforce racial binary. The term traces back to colonial classification, and people act like they're against colonialism, where calling somebody a person of color is part of that colonial paradigm. So back to colonial classifications like gens de couleur, or gens de couleur, however you say that. It originally applied to mixed race populations in French colonies, and later in U.S. legal texts referred to colored people. What people in this country was referred to as colored, right? And the people that were non-black that were referred to as colored, they fought tooth and nail legally to be classified as white, because being called colored was being synonymous with being black. And y'all know I know black poppy, right? There's like, hell to the no. We are not colored. We are not black. But now some people see some sort of societal benefit from it. So now people adopt the term people of color, but only to get some tangibles out of it. Then they go back to their ethnic enclave and start identifying as Venezuelan, Korean, Jamaican, etc. Although it was intended to replace derogatory terminology, the emphasis on color sustains a simplistic binary between white and non-white, inherently framing whiteness as normative and other racial identities as deviation. So once you call us a person of color, you lump us all in one group, and the whites got their own group. The whites are just white. They are the standard. They are the inherent norm. But people of color all get lumped together to make it seem like we're just all just one cultural kumbaya. Hell nah, we ain't doing that. Ambiguity about membership and identification. Groups within the POC umbrella may resist identification due to psychological and social factors, anti-blackness within non-black communities. See, what happens when you try to frame us as a people of color, it makes it seem like, oh, we're all together. You're a person of color, I'm a person of color, so that means we have the same interests. No, many of those people of color also identify as white or some other racial or ethnic group, and anti-blackness is as American as apple pie and is global. So it's not just in America. So when these people immigrate over here, whether it be from Mexico, whether it be from the DR, there's anti-blackness in their country. So they're not going to come from a country that's anti-black and then come to a country that was founded on anti-blackness and suddenly, just lock arms with us and, want to sing songs and hold hands. That's not reality. Ethnic self-identification often conflicts with the racialized category POC. Example, Latino or Middle Eastern individuals may identify as white. Hold on, let me read that one more again. Latino or Middle Eastern individuals may identify as white or multiracial, challenging the inclusivity and precision of the umbrella term. And this is what we're talking about. There's a bunch of Latinos that will identify as racially white, but also say they're a person of color. There's a bunch of Middle Eastern people, whether they're from Palestine, Egypt, Lebanon, Syria, they come over here and they're classified as white. And then they're also classified as a person of color. So they're saying they're the same as you. Yeah, the blacks went through Jim Crow and redlining, and they're people of color. And I'm a Middle Eastern, and I'm a person of color too. A person of color that identifies as white. How does that make any sense? if we're saying that people of color are non-white, but there's a bunch of POCs that identify as white, how goofy does that sound? Inadequacy in political and social context. Political mobilization using POC assumes a degree of unity, which we don't have, and shared interests that may not exist. Voting patterns among Latino, Asian, or indigenous populations illustrate divergent perspectives that are lost under a monolithic label. Lost means erased, right? So y'all seen in this past election, right? I will vote for Donald Trump, right? That's what they wanted. The Latinos wanted, I will vote for Donald Trump. And now he getting up out of there. He's saying, hey, y'all got to kick rock in flip flops with no pit stops while listening to hip hop. Get them out of here. You're done. That's what he's saying, right? So the POCs, they didn't vote as one big monolithic label. Nothing about us is monolithic. So why are y'all lumping us together to make it seem like we have anything in common? We don't. Movements that appeal broadly to POC risk erasing the specific harms endured by Black and Indigenous communities. They always got to try to lump us with somebody else. But when you talk to the air quote Indigenous, and there are many Black Indigenous, but when you talk to the Indigenous communities, they don't even mention Black people at all. At all. Misleading implications of a shared struggle. While intended to highlight the collective marginalization against white supremacy, the term creates a false universalism, implying that all non-white groups are equally positioned within systemic hierarchies or that their oppression is comparable. Yes, these groups come over here and say, I was treated bad. Yeah, you were treated bad in your country by your own countrymen. You weren't treated the way Blacks were treated in their homeland. Our homeland is here, this soil, America. So when we're talking about how we were treated here, don't try to conflate with that you were seeking asylum and you had to flee a Mexican cartel. That's unfortunate, right? But that's what your people did to you in your home country. What's happening to us is not even comparable. This framing risks distorting public perception of historically rooted inequities, conflating Native American displacement or Japanese internment with broader non-white experiences, which diminishes the specificity of targeted racial injustices. And right, if you're talking about what the Native Americans went through, only talk about them so that they can get specific, targeted racial, ethnic, and cultural justice, so that they can get human rights justice. Same thing with the Japanese internment, right? When the Japanese were paid reparations, right, for several years of internment, they didn't bring up Black people at all. They're like, this is what happened to the Japanese people. We're not giving it to all Asians. Koreans didn't get it. Filipinos didn't get it. We specifically targeted and harmed Japanese people. So we're going to give a specific redress to them. But see, when it comes to foundational Black American Negro freedmen, they have a litany of the things that they did specifically to us. But then when they want to give out some resources, they say, oh, well, we're going to uplift people of color. But people of color wasn't discriminated against. Black American freedmen were. So in conclusion, the collective label of people of color is both historically loaded and conceptually broad. Its limitations include flattening distinct racial and ethnic experiences into a single category, perpetuating a white/non-white binary rather than reflecting nuanced racial diversity, ambiguity in political, cultural, and self-identification contexts, reducing its efficacy for representation or activism, misrepresentation of historical and systemic inequities, obscuring unique challenges faced by individual racial groups. For accurate representation, scholars, activists increasingly advocate for more precise terminology, such as identifying individual or racial ethnic identities, Black, Indigenous, Latino, Asian, etc., or using contextual labels that recognize intersectional and group specific experiences. And that's why people are mad at FBA, Foundational Black Americans. We are saying, look, we need ethnic and cultural specificity just like everybody else does. We're tired of being under this monolithic term that is a form of cultural erasure. Those days are over. Everyone has to hold your own nuts, hold your own filth, hold your own lineage, hold your own culture, and hold your own accomplishments. It's a beautiful thing. So nobody should be using that term, people of color. Don't ever call me that. And I never want to see that term in the chat. You call me a POC, I'm going to call you a POS. It just is what it is. Okay, so I think this has been a fruitful stream. Shout out to Jackie. She says, great commentary. I sincerely appreciate that. And y'all could be anywhere in the world. You chose to be here with me. And for that, I thank you. Oh, and it looks like we've been joined by another illustrious guest. Big Rig, we about to shut her down. But I do appreciate you. Go ahead and subscribe to Big Rig. He got some great content over there. You know, it'll be a little bit of shenanigans, you know what I mean? A little bit of sophistication, a lot of entertainment, a lot of enlightenment. So Big Rig, he has a great channel over there. So make sure y'all sub and check the Brody out. So yeah, we about to get ready to shut this thing down. And depends. Oh, you've been here about 20 minutes? I didn't even know, bro, because I was reading, so I didn't even get to see the chat. But I sincerely appreciate you. And I've been joined by, I got a new viewer here, and I can say her name right now. Shout out to Tay Baby. Shout out to Tay Bay in building. I appreciate you rocking out with us. This is a beautiful thing. And you know what? I might go a little bit later. Hey, maybe I might do something with Rig. I just want to be more consistent. I don't have a specific schedule right now. Most of my streams have been impromptu, but I will deliver y'all a schedule, especially in 2026. I'm going to come with the actual schedule. But for right now, just enjoy the content. I appreciate the replay gang because y'all been doing what it didn't do. And the live concurrent viewers, I sincerely appreciate y'all and love y'all. And Jackie, I can't even, Big Rig, you got to use a more powerful word than this. Jackie, AKA Pretty Smile. I can't even say the smile is pretty. I have to give it a little bit more power. I will say it's ravishing, right? I think ravishing trumps pretty, but let me hit y'all with some visuals. Hopefully y'all stick around. It's only going to be a few minutes left and I'm about to shut this thing down. And I probably will come back with another stream later. It's about 50-50. It all depends on how I'm feeling. Ravishing, the ravishing Jackie Gaines. Indeed. Okay, so let's do this. Time for a like intermission. We kindly request that you show love to the channel's creator and platform by leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest content. Liking posts is completely free and helps the algorithm boost our reach. We want to grow the community larger and larger. So thank you all who take the time to support us. It does mean the world to us and doesn't go unnoticed. And if you would like to make a contribution to the stream, if I provided y'all with any game, enlightenment, or entertainment, you know what to do.
You think it's about time you gave me my money? Want my money? I need cash. Please send that money. Hey, please send that money. Hey, please send that money. Want my money? I need cash. Want my money? I need cash. Want my money?
And before we get out of here, you know, I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah. Hey. B-Eazy, that dude, yeah. Shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. It's a lot of niggas that say they real, but to me that shit is far-fetched. Motion cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I rap on them with the 40 ounces. It's a definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like willow pads. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on willow pads. These birds that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. Better zip lips when you get hit. When the fifth spit, flat line in your pit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like boo-coo. For the cocaine to go cuckoo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on Chirac and then fly back out to Milwaukee. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.